to just restart it. So we're going to leave the podcast as it is and just try to restart this, but whatever. So welcome to the podcast. This is a podcast about video games. But we're going to start streaming it live, and we're going to pivot to video, Frank. That's where the money is.
Okay. Internet money.
So we're going to do the podcast. It's always going to be able to go every week. But if you want to see our beautiful faces and see a nice little overlay, pardon the interruption, but about video games, go ahead to, we're going to do it on Twitch for a while, twitch.com/Stats1, that's O-N-E. And then...
With two A's, S-T-A-A-T-S.
Yes, O-N-E. And then I'm going to upload it to YouTube, and just Google, Chris Frank Games on YouTube, you'll probably find it. If you want to watch us live, we'll either do this on YouTube or Twitch, whichever gets the most viewers. I don't know. Everything I've ever streamed on YouTube never gets any viewers. So it's about video games, and it's Twitch, so hopefully we actually get some viewers. So we'll try that. We may go to YouTube. We'll see what's up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, unless you're going to be streaming all night, it's not like random people are going to stumble upon it. Be like, Who the hell are these assholes?
Yeah, there's some random guys that are talking about video games, so I don't know. But we got the big menu on the right side of the screen, so maybe that will attract the eyeballs. That's what we got. So
there's exciting yawning going on.
Yeah. All right, so we got it's a lot of all that big news. Everything's coming up. It's pretty exciting. What's probably the most exciting is Frank got a PS4 Pro.
Yeah,
since we last
the Spider-Man one. And since you're seeing this, live on the internet, I just proof.
Confirmed.
It's the goofy red and white controller.
Or you just use nail polish. And
I was working so hard on this week. I'm like,
you know what? Hey, by the way, that's not the greatest controller. That's your collect. It's just red with blue. White dots on the control, the buttons. No webs, nothing.
No, it doesn't have any extra designs or anything. It's just red and white, which is also funny because that's only Spider-Man colors as of this game. Because it gets the blue on the bar when you turn it on, so then it's got all the colors. But it's up until this exact game, Spider-Man has been red and blue and black, I guess, rather than red, white, and blue.
Yep. And then there was some crazy, was it the 500 millionth PS4 Spider-Man edition where it comes in a box, like a lockbox or something? That you did not get that, right? Have you seen that one?
No.
Yeah.
You mean the clear one, the 500 million PlayStation sold special edition or whatever?
Maybe I'm thinking of two separate ones, but I saw this crazy collector edition for Spider-Man 4 where it's it's in this wooden box and you get all this crazy crap included with it. But
that might just be the super duper special edition of the game.
Yeah, that may be.
Which looks confusing because they're both in big boxes, but this one's got a statue and versus a console.
Well, that is very possible. All right, so we'll talk about Spider-Man, of course, later on in the games we've been playing. But just what have you been downloading and playing on your PS4 Pro? Or should we wait? For that?
You're mostly Spider-Man,
That's it?
But I transferred over everything, treating PT like it was
Did it
made
work?
out of. Yeah. It,
Wow.
Well, I had to do the hard drive transfer via network cables, which took 8 hours to do for only half a terabyte, less than 500 gigs. And I guess there's ways to set that up so it'll go faster, but at that point it was 8 o'clock, and I'm I can spend another hour fiddling with cables to get this to go in 2 hours and be playing Spider-Man at 12:30 at night, or I can just go to bed and it's basically and let it go overnight. It's the same result in the end for me. So
is PT? Is it improved by boost mode, or are there any improvements in frame rate?
Not that I've noticed, because PT's got a capped 30.
Oh, okay.
So and for boost mode, a lot of games just get, rather than a performance boost all around, the biggest difference tends to be the that they don't drop frames as much. There are fewer flaws rather than, anything above and beyond. Like,
Yeah.
I guess there are some games that with unlocked frame rates where it'll, start getting up to like 45 FPS or whatever, but, and it really, really varies for the game. But I'm going around, sometime when I have free time, just going to go around and experimenting, because it's really hard to find information. Like, unless it's something that was popular that Digital Foundry like did a comparison video on, or things like Soma that boost mode broke, and they had to make a patch so that the game would be playable with boost mode turned on. Other than that, a lot of games like there's no. If you want to know if there's a difference, you're gonna have to test it out yourself.
Yeah, and I found, I was like, well, I think it was probably a placebo. I was like, I think it runs faster. I can't really tell. I'm not really sure.
Yeah. Well, and it's especially hard to tell with the games that are like, I think it's more stable. It doesn't seem to be dropping frame rates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe we're giving these games way too much credit, or the PS4 way too much credit. So, all right, well, cool. I don't know. How do you feel with the purchase? Pretty good, I guess?
Well, it looks pretty cool. It actually, it ended up working with my decor because everything's kind of like red is like a good color for my basement, so it doesn't actually look super goofy.
Nice.
My wife's middle school students are super jealous because she was telling them about it.
Yeah, the kids want to. Yeah, I guess so, huh? But did the kids know about graphics cards? Didn't they just hear about these GeForce 2040s or something, 2080s?
Yeah, they're not that advanced. They're just playing Fortnite on their phones and consoles.
Yeah. No drops. All right. Well, when I bought my PS4 Pro, I felt great, and I was like, I want this so bad, and then I opened it up, played it for a while. I was like, just like every other material object these days, you're like, okay, all right, that's something.
Yeah,
on to the next thing.
That made me happy for a brief period of time. Now I need to buy something else.
Yep, that's the fucking daylight.
I guess the one kind of drawback is that I'm not a fan of having to switch settings like outside of games. Like that's that's why I play with consoles rather than PC games to begin with, so I don't have to be fiddling with settings. But it is the case where like some games might not work well with boost mode, or there are games out there that like on the Pro will render in 4K, but otherwise don't have any advantages. So then you have to go turn on the global super sampling to get any benefit on a 1080 TV. And that's like you have to quit out of the game and go hit the button and go back in. So that's kind of obnoxious, but.
Yeah, and the game can be running too, right? It doesn't have to be closed to switch.
Yeah, you have to completely close the game, any game that's running, in order to activate that. So
yeah, I
haven't really messed around with it yet because Spider-Man has native super sampling, so you don't have to turn it on. Spider-Man just does it itself, but it's really, really effective. Like it's not a huge thing. But the game has like zero stair stepping or jagged lines, even on like super duper duper shallow angles. Like you can have something that's just like 3 degrees off of totally horizontal, like a long, not quite horizontal line, like something that would really drive 1080 rendered game mad, and it looks absolutely perfect. So. Once you've noticed that, you're like, you're looking for it. And I have yet to see any kind of jaggies or stair stepping in that game. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, you can definitely tell the mode, the super sampling. You can tell the difference. And I don't know, you probably can't go back, probably, if you want back. Man, this looks like shit. All right, so there you go. So what's next? 4K? 4K TV? Or what?
Nah, probably not. I gotta wait for this TV to die.
I'll probably get one at this Christmas. Maybe I'll probably get a big one for pretty cheap. If it's like $400 for like
the fact that it doesn't do 4K Blu-rays is like the big thing. Going like, well, I guess I don't care then. Like,
yeah,
I would maybe be thinking like maybe I should get a 4K TV, but then I'd have to get a whole other box And you guys know my feelings about HDMI ports. I'm out. I don't have any more. I'm using a splitter already.
Yeah. We had the dreaded multi-port conundrum. That's always a handy piece of gear when you get one of those multi-ports thing. It's always good stock.
When they work, they're a pain to set up, but.
Yep. All right. Well, there you go. So PS4 Pro. And have you tried to sell your base station yet?
Not yet. Because we were thinking about actually, my wife wanted to bring it into school to be the cool teacher. And then that's probably not going to happen.
That will last about 1 hour.
The kids are going to steal it, and B, I'm like, I don't want to have to go through and erase everything on it that's emerated, and I'd rather just wipe the whole thing and not have to deal with kids messing around in my PSN account.
Or somehow they're buying V-Bucks on Fortnite with a credit card you didn't realize was stuck in the system somehow. Yeah. Well, how old are the kids, by the way?
They're like 8th graders, middle schoolers.
Yeah, that's not. You can't play games at school. It doesn't work unless it's Number Munchers.
I know they have Wii's and stuff. It's
really,
yeah.
Damn, none of these kids don't know anything these days. And they think, all right, well, very exciting. We'll hear about Spider-Man later in the show. Let's go to the news quick, and not a whole lot going on. Again, we're just getting ready. I mean, it's already upon us. With Spider-Man coming out Friday, and then what big game came out on Tuesday?
I don't know.
What a new show! NBA 2K came out, and some other stuff, and
that's why everyone's bitching about microtransactions this week.
Yep, it's that time again. That's why I'm glad the 2K series is around, so that it seems like these are the only guys still punching away at these crazy microtransactions. So I guess you don't have to pay for a haircut this time though this year. So
I don't understand it at all. Because why would you want to get invested? The screenshot of the microtransaction screen is getting passed around a lot, and there's you can get 450,000 virtual currency, whatever the heck's, for $99, which is insane on its face. You're gonna pay more than the cost of the game. In the currency
for space bucks, yeah.
But I'm like, it's a sports game. It's obsolete in a year. NBA 2K20 is
right
not that far around the corner. So it's does that stuff carry over? Do you get
no.
your VC bucks? So it is. And it's such a super successful business model, and I don't understand because it's just blatantly predatory. It's literally the worst of all worlds.
Well, you got fans that really love something basketball, and they want to play basketball, but they're not good physically. So this is the next biggest thing. You're preying on those insecurities, I guess, huh? That's what it comes down to.
Well, and it is. I'm sure there's a lot of I really like this specific player. So I have to make sure, I've got all that stuff.
Yeah, so those card packs, they do the same card packs that EA does. So, all right, well that was an extra bonus hot take for you folks here. Really quick, Civilization 6. It was announced coming for the Switch. I have no idea what the details about this. If this could even be playable on a console. I mean, this is not on the consoles, right? This is only a PC as of right now.
I don't know about 6, but Civilization games have been out on consoles before.
Yeah, Rev. I wonder if this is gonna be the full game or if it's gonna be Civ Rev or something. It'll be interesting. So what I would do is keep it fairly simplify the buttons, all that stuff, but then have that pointer be the mouse. So that's what I would do, or touch screen maybe like that. All right, so there you go. That's the first topic. We're gonna go. There we go. We moved the
so bye-bye, little thing on the screen.
We got 2 Nintendo.
Get out of there.
All right, and then so we didn't really talk about this last week, but Nintendo had a what do you call it? A video, Nintendo Direct, a video that they show upcoming games, all that stuff. There's an earthquake in Japan. I guess not too many people got messed up. but it was enough because didn't hear anything about it. But enough for them to cancel the stream from last week. So, but anyways, they're going to restream it or they redo it, reschedule it for Thursday tomorrow, the 13th. And I guess you just have to wait until next week to hear our takes on it.
Yeah, so. It's if you're gonna get mad at them though, like I don't know, don't.
Oh yeah. They
had an earthquake. Give them a break.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, we're about to have some hurricanes, so it's we'll get ours here pretty quick. So, all right, and then Nintendo also announced that the Nintendo Online service is going to start on the 18th, and then you're going to get a free week trial. So there you go. It's coming, folks.
All right, it's coming.
Next week.
It's coming.
Finally find out what these games are and what the online capabilities are.
Yeah. And then 3 more months till it is for real. Does how it. We'll see how long it takes them to settle into a groove.
Yeah. All right. So Call of Duty Blackout, the PUBG mode. Beta hit this past weekend, and I've been kind of watching some streamers play. I mean, you have to pre-order the game, so I'm not pre-ordering Black Ops 4. But I've been living vicariously through these streamers, and I don't know, Frank, have you been watching any of this stuff?
No.
The game modes? Yeah. You tell me you're not at work watching Call of Duty Blackout live streams all day?
Sometimes I look at Kotaku's highlight reel. But yeah, when you don't play the games, it's a bunch of nonsense to you, especially Overwatch. That's a whole other thing. And I'm they're like, well, look at this cool clip, and I'm like, I literally have no idea what's happening in this clip.
Cool.
But sometimes there's fun glitches.
Yeah. Well, all those GTA ones are pretty fun. But all right, so Black Ops. So listen. It takes a big man to admit he's wrong, and I continuously said that this is going to be like a Meg style type game where everyone kind of gets funneled, to a 20-man match, and then the winners kind of move on and all this stuff. Because the engine, there's no way this engine can handle 100 people. There's no way it can handle a baby big and all this other stuff. So, well, Treyarch and Call of Duty and Activision, they proved me wrong. They made a monkey out of me because it is actually a big map. It's not huge. It's way smaller than you actually think, but it is a big map. And it still runs at 60 frames per second as far as I can tell. It's actually pretty impressive. So this must be like a completely new engine. They must have built it from the ground up. So this must be something that they unveiled for this. And I wonder if the rest of the Call of Duty games are going to get more into this bigger maps than the traditional little battle arenas where everyone's running around.
How many players is it?
So it started at 80, and they're actually making daily changes to the beta. So now it was 88. You can play single. Sorry, what?
No, it's just funny. It's creeping up. It's creeping up. We got 88 guys. We're going to cramp 2 more guys in there tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's weird. Why don't you just go for 100? Maybe it seems like, I don't know, maybe the sweet spot, maybe a couple more, because it seems still like you're not really around that many people at the beginning of the game, but whatever. From everyone saying, people are saying it's really, really fun. It's basically one of these battle royale games where the frame rate's super good, super smooth and everything. Gameplay super smooth, so it runs better than PUBG. But it's more of an adult game with no building like Fortnite. And the menu system is way simplified and all this stuff. You got vehicles like helicopters and ATVs and trucks and all this stuff. And the only thing that I kind of turns me off a little bit is these crazy futuristic Call of Duty Black Ops weapons. So it's like a shotgun, but it's all futuristic, so it doesn't really look like a shotgun as we know it. And then it's kind of got these laser
shotgun.
Yeah, exactly. It's got these laser shotguns and stuff, all this other stuff. So, I don't know. I mean, I would play it if I could play it fairly cheap, but it's probably not going to be happening like that. So. But yeah, people seem to really, really like it. So, all right, so there you go. I mean, everyone shits on Call of Duty and Activision and all these guys, but it seems like they put their minds to it and put some nice twist on it. Instead of jumping from a plane in the beginning of a game, you jump from a bunch of helicopters, like a group of helicopters, going to a mission. So that's pretty cool. There's There's like perks, like limited perks that I don't know, maybe help your aim or something like that. I'm not really sure everything what it is. But yeah, so it's got a bunch of Call of Duty type twists to it. So there you go. It's gonna be pretty successful, I'm sure. All right.
Rock and roll.
So one PUBG player that was actually playing quite of the blackout mode and actually was saying how much it rocked was Dr. DisRespect, a pretty famous streamer on Twitch. But the good doctor might have to worry about Chris Frank Games because we may be taking over your audience. So we're at a big 0 right now.
Just wait till we finish our degrees.
Yeah.
And then it'll be Dr. Chris Frank Games.
Yeah, we're associate. We're associate doctors. But anyway, so Dr. DisRespect, who I think is actually a really good actor, and he's created this really good character. It's not his alter ego, of course, but it's actually he's really entertaining, and but not so much entertaining when you've guns being shot at your house, and this isn't a PUBG Scar with a 3x scope. He's not having flashbacks. These are real shots. In fact, this happened during one of his streams. And he actually went to get up to see what was going on. He comes back and he said, "Someone just shot my house. I'm going to end the stream." And then, he took off his wig and everything like that. He seems pretty shaken. And he kind of goes off for a second. He's like, "You motherfuckers!" And apparently someone shot at the house yesterday, the day before that, as it happened. And he makes it seem like, he says something about like, and it wasn't something to do with the neighbors. So maybe it sounds like maybe something's going on the top floor of his building or whatever, and it was them, and it's just a coincidence that he's a world famous streamer, or maybe they're actually shooting at him, and who knows? There's a lot of question marks. But yeah, just a really kind of bizarre, weird, and really sad thing.
It's a whole new meaning to the term stream sniping.
Yeah.
Hi-oh.
No scope. Hopefully it was something stupid like a BB gun. Or something like that, and definitely, And by the way, this is a good time to mention our new sponsors, Simply Safe. Protect your home if you're getting shot at by. No, there's no sponsor.
It's like shutters that come down.
Yeah.
Stream safe with bulletproof walls.
Get some security cameras, doctor, and I would, videotape your driveway. So
you can probably afford it.
Yeah, I would imagine.
He should stream it.
Yeah.
He can have his the chat look out for him. All right, guys, watch the garage video while I play this video game.
These lookouts. All right. Well, that's all the news I had. Frank, did you have anything for us?
Yeah. I got actually a couple things. So we were talking about microtransactions earlier, and EA. Is digging in their heels over in Belgium, where loot boxes have been determined to be gambling and are running afoul of Belgium's anti-gambling laws. But EA has said, no, they're not. And is not going to take them out like some of its competitors have, and is in fact going to release the next version of FIFA with them in there. So the Belgian gambling authorities have referred this to prosecutors. So it's going to go to court.
I imagine what their strategy here, at least EA's strategy, is like, fuck them, let them sue us. This will probably take several years of litigation, and let's make money. Anyways, so let's leave them in. Yeah. And we can take out the microtransactions, not without difficulty, but we're ready to go and take them out when we need to.
Well, I think the only reason they're not just like some other people have been like, oh, okay, we don't want, we want to avoid legal repercussions and bad press, and EA seems to be more worried about the repercussions of if they back out here in Belgium, like is that going to signal to other countries and other gambling commissions that yes, this is gambling. So they're sticking to their guns because they clearly think that they're going to win this, or at least be able to bury it. Fingers crossed it blows up in their face and they totally lose, and then that sets the good precedent that this is gambling.
pragmatic about it. I mean, but I'm assuming Belgium is in the EU, right? Is it not? That's right.
Yeah.
Is it? So like, but gambling's legal in the EU also, right? I'm assuming. Like at least lotteries are.
Well,
So
it varies.
yeah.
From
So
country
I mean,
to
I think
country.
this is a pretty. I mean, at least from a legal. Not that I'm a lawyer or something like that. And listen, I'm not for like microtransactions or greedy all this stuff. But I think from just a straight up legal. I mean, what's the difference between this and a lottery or baseball cards or like anything? So I think just all they gotta say is like, oh, this other stuff you can do. I mean, how is this any different? How is this loot box any different?
Well,
So.
I am not a lawyer either, and I don't know specifically the laws involved in Belgium and other places, but it could require, even if it is legal, it could require the game to become 18 plus. That could be something they could deal with. Like, what if you can sell your game and you can have microtransactions in it, but you're not allowed to sell it to children anymore. So, yeah, it's they're sticking to their guns, but they're entering fraught legal territory.
Yeah. And then also, I wonder if they win this case in Belgium, does that mean like they win it all in the EU? That sets a precedent in the whole EU. So I think that might.
I don't think it's not going to set like a legal. It's not like the moving up court systems here. Yeah. I think a lot of it is more. This is more social precedent than like strict legal precedent. Like, if they're afraid that other countries and other gambling commissions are going to smell blood in the water.
Yeah, like England, because they don't want to lose England because England's a huge like gambling country. So. Yeah,
well, and they don't want to shut off these revenue streams because they're making like, what is it? So it's something like 67% of their profits is microtransactions now for EA, and that's something like $3 billion. And so that's, that's a heck of a lot of money. And, these companies don't want to go back to just like making some money.
Yeah, well, it's hard to tell your shareholders. We lost 2/3 of our profits this year, so our revenue this year.
and barely anything changed.
Well, we'll be good next year. Yeah, we'll be good next year.
Because their costs will be basically the same. Like they'll pay some legal fees, but like the costs of making the game don't change. It's just so we kind of lost our gravy boat on top of the game.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's it basically is gambling. It's the only real difference. We've talked about this before. Is that you can't get money out, and that's I think that's the biggest distinction. Especially here in the States, is that you're gambling, but you're getting virtual things, and there's no way to cash out. So here in the States, we're only really going to crack down for things like the CS:GO gambling, where you could sell your skins and earn skin. Like if it can be turned back into money, then you've got a real problem. But if all the money is going directly into EA's pockets, which from EA's perspective is better, then it's somehow better legally too.
Yeah.
What
else you got here?
The other thing I got is we got a new Sekiro Shadows Die Twice trailer.
Oh yeah.
Yay!
So this is the From Software Samurai.
Yeah, this is
Dark
the
Souls,
Activision From Software samurai game, not a Souls game. Like there were just not RPG elements anymore. It's more of a traditional hack and slash.
What, they took them out, or the trailer is not?
No, they took them out. You don't have a character build anymore. You're playing a specific person.
Oh, okay.
And you're not leveling up. You're gonna unlock gear. So in a lot of ways, it's a more traditional game, but I'm sure it's going to have all kinds of From Software fuckery in it. Mm. And but yeah, trailer looks really cool. It's got a lady who like walks around on spider webs, like so it just kind of looks like she's hovering above you. You're fighting in a burning temple. They showed off a lot of boss fights. There's a giant albino monkey. Mm. Actually, no, I think it must have been an ape because I didn't see a tail, but. This is what I'm psyched for.
Nice. And it comes out in like March or something?
Yeah, March 22nd. So
All right, cool. Why don't
Not
I
all
leave?
that far away.
Yep, I'll be on here in no time. All right, anything else for us?
Nope. That is exactly all the news that I have had time to look at this week.
Nice. All the news that's fit to print, as they say. Fit to broadcast. All right, so I'll tell you what, we're going to take a quick break, and we will return with the games we've been playing.
Spider-Man.
All right, are you pretty much good?
Yeah, I'm all set.
All right, let me get a drink of water.
For you Twitch viewers, this is a behind-the-scenes look at what goes on.
Yeah, we asked them if we're ready. We have to take a piss.
We see like somebody might have to pee, somebody might have to go get another beer, or we just go right back into it.
Yeah, or we're just trying to get out of here, and let's get this thing finished up. Oh, okay.
I can go make pulled pork after this.
All right, we are back, and we will get to Spider-Man in one moment. But let me just hit my game really quick. So I did a little bit of traveling. Went down to San Diego this past week and took a train. And I brought my Switch, and I played a little bit more of Axiom Verge. I got a nice little 2-hour session in, and I really quite enjoyed it. And in fact, I kind of hit a spot. You know, you get through these games, you kind of hit a hard spot. You kind of beat your head for a minute. And you're like, all right, let me just take a pause here. And then you kind of don't get to it, like for a couple days, and then you try to turn it on, and then you're like, I'm not really feeling it, and then you put it away again, and then it's that decision time. Are you going to go back to it or not? And it was a good thing I had this trip because it kind of forced me to play it. And we were talking about Super Metroid last week about how they kind of went through it and how it kind of has this point where it has this point of no return where you can't go to the early part of the game. Just so that kind of gives you your brain a chance to like kind of figure out the second part of the game and blah 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 blah. Well, I'm playing Axiom Verge, and I keep on doubting this game, and I'm like, man, I feel like I got to go all the way back to this level and do all this stuff, and it's just I don't know where to go. I got lost, and I was up against this really tough boss. I didn't want to really fight yet, and I'm like, all right, let me just go way back to the very beginning of the game, and let me just try to get some more power ups and all that stuff. And well, I was like, it's going to definitely let me do that. Well, no, Frank. It does have this part where it kind of pretty much shuts off the earlier part of the game to you. So I keep on doubting this game. In the beginning, when I started playing this game, I'm like, okay, I got this power, but is it going to ask me to use the power to get out of here? And it didn't at first, but then the next kind of stage, or the next kind of screen, it did. So it proved me wrong then, and it proved me wrong here again. So these guys know what they're doing. Making this Metroidvania game.
Guy, I'm pretty sure it's just one guy.
Yeah, this person. And I don't know, I felt like the second big mini boss, and I got the power where we can go through walls. So that's kind of an interesting power. And they always give you these really weird powers you've never even thought about, you've never even seen in a game like this before, like going through walls and these, the glitch gun and all this stuff. So just a lot of inventiveness. And it's good because, you don't want to play Metroid. Again, you want to play Metroid like 1 billion times. And I've said this before, but I'm going to say this again. It's so nice to play an 8-bit game that looks like an 8-bit game that doesn't have flickering or glitches and it's flickering. I went back and watched some NES videos and just everything is just flickering. It's so goddamn annoying. And just being able to play this game, it just plays so smooth and so good. Everyone should just go back and remake those 8-bit games. Get rid of the flickering, please. Okay,
well, the other thing is that it's a 8-bit game, but it's one that is designed for a modern TV. So there's that one crucial difference. Like it looks like what you think an 8-bit game is in your head, but an actual like NES game, is designed around the quirks of the cathode ray tube. So the flickering was there, but it was less obnoxious than it is now, when you watch it on an LCD TV.
Yeah. And the music, like I said before, the music was really great. I got to the, I think it was maybe the 4th area, where they actually kind of have a woman start singing over kind of like a house beat, and just really great stuff. And he steps it up, the music, every single time, every new level, so I can't wait to see what the rest of the music sounds like. So you really not hit it out of the park. So great, Axiom Verge, great game. I know everyone's tired of these Metroidvania games, but this is kind of like after Shadow Complex, this is kind of like one of the big first, Metroidvania, kind of non-Metroidvania games. Is that accurate? I'm probably totally wrong. Everyone's probably like, "No, you're an idiot." So whatever.
It was, it was an early one of the current like craze.
Yeah,
Like,
game is 5 years old already. I think so. It's a pretty old one.
yeah, or something like that. You're making me want to play it again. I got too many other games.
What do you have it on your PS4?
Yeah. So that'll really take advantage
Boost
of the new
mode.
Pro.
Boost
Yeah,
mode, baby.
see what boost mode does.
Okay. All right, that's all I got. Frank, what do you got? What do you got for us? Oh, Spider-Man.
I have been playing, this little indie game. Now you probably haven't heard of it. It's called the Spider-Man. Is it Marvel's Spider-Man?
Now, did you get the disc with the system, or was it?
Yeah,
the code?
it comes with the system, and then I don't know if it's like tied to the system's firmware or something, but it came with the like the day one edition whatever bonuses, and yeah, like I didn't have to enter any codes or do anything. They were just there, and I'm like, that's weird.
Oh, that's cool. Probably when you put it in your PS4 Pro, it probably just was like, oh yeah, this is it.
It's like I duly noted this is a Spider-Man PS4.
Yeah.
So.
Right your way, your Majesty.
We're pretty sure you got this. Though I ended up having a weird. So one of the bonuses is like 5 extra skill points, like right off the bat, which is actually pretty useful because I started off. I'm on the highest difficulty level. And it's not a super hard game, but like early on when you don't have a lot of your powers and upgrades, it was a little challenging. Like you get killed pretty fast and the enemies are quite aggressive. So having those 5 extra skill points right away was pretty nice. Though I got super confused because, so when you transfer all your stuff from a PS4 to a Pro, or like between any PS4s, when you do the transfer, it's supposed to basically copy everything, but it can't copy like passwords, like so you have to like re-enter your Netflix password and stuff like that. But the most bizarre thing, it did. It did have my like Netflix password. It just worked immediately.
Oh yeah.
But then the next day. The system refused to acknowledge that it had been my primary PS4. Like, you switch, like, which one is your primary PS4 if you have more than one? And I switched that over. And so those 5 skill points, like, disappeared.
Oh.
And I was like, what's going on? Where did it didn't save that? Because I didn't even realize at the time that those skill points were because of the, pre-order bonus or whatever. So I was so confused, and then like the game, it wouldn't let me play any PS Plus games, and it's like you have to activate your system as your primary one, and it was like good, and it was. So I had to deactivate it and reactivate it, and then it wouldn't take the passwords, and so it was, so for some reason it confused it, and it didn't realize it was a new PlayStation for a while.
I think I might have had something issues. So I think I had to like return my PS4 back on to like deactivate it or something like that. That sounds a little bit familiar.
Yeah, well, I just had to deactivate and then reactivate. But yeah, it was kind of bizarre. But anyway, so playing around with the game, and it was a nice little bonus start. Because you do early on you can get royally pummeled by enemies on the hard difficulty, but this is a really fun game. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. It's it's one of those games that, like, I think the biggest complaint I have heard against it is that it is not revolutionary.
Yeah, it didn't change open world games.
Yeah, like I mean, the combat owes a lot to Arkham Asylum. The traversal owes a lot to Prototype. So if you ever played Prototype, which was the open world Manhattan like mutant power virus guy who can shapeshift game, that they're really similar as far as the traversal for the parkour system, because it's got like you just hold down the trigger and then you automatically vault over stuff as you run around, and then you can just run straight up buildings, and it's basically identical to Prototype in that regard. yeah, and then, just the Arkham Asylum combat, and you've got your very standard open world tropes, complete with towers that you have to activate in order to see the various icons on the map. So yeah, not doing anything specifically, groundbreaking. It's just doing everything super duper well. And it flows together really well because the combat and the traversal and even the stealth, you can kind of move in and out of each of those pretty seamlessly. It's a really, really spectacular level of polish. It just works super duper well.
So it's a pretty good game.
Yeah, no, I'm very enjoying it.
So, okay.
I think
go ahead.
my 3 complaints, well, I guess 2 complaints, because, it's not reinventing the wheel. But the 2 other the only complaints I can come up with are the music's a little repetitive.
It's na 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 na. Oh no, that's Batman, right? That's Batman.
Yeah, no, it's the Spider-Man song's different.
Spider-Man,
and it's not bad.
Right?
It's got the very orchestral score like the Sam Raimi movies. And it's not bad, and it does change it up once in a while, but it's so majestic, and you're like, I'm just farting around, guys. Because the traversal is so much fun. That's the biggest thing that the game nails is traversal. It's just an absolute blast to just go from point A to point B.
And so let's talk about that for a second, because you're not just your web is not just going wherever. You kind of have, do you have to have an aim thing? Because I see these points kind of pop up while you're moving through the city.
You can. There's so the traversal kind of breaks down into a few different kind of systems. The parkour, which is just hold down the right trigger, and that's a sprint. The Spider-Man will automatically jump over things, automatically run up walls, and the game there's a lot of kind of automatic systems that kind of smooth things out, and so that just kind of seamlessly transitions into the swinging, which is also right trigger. So if you just jump off a building and you hold down right trigger, Spider-Man will automatically swing off of the most logical points, and it is based. There has to be something there. So if you just take a flying leap off of a building over Central Park, and then as you're falling towards Central Park, you're hammering on the right trigger, nothing's going to happen, because there's nothing to swing on until you get below the tree line. There's no falling damage. There's no Spider-Man will just automatically kind of do a roll. So there's very few ways to screw it up. It's not 100% skill based. The game will just kind of oh, you meant to do that. But you still you get slowed way down because it's physics based. So for the momentum to go as fast as possible, you have to know the right time to jump out of a swing. Because if you just pendulum all the way up, you gain a lot of height, but you lose a lot of speed. And then you can also, as you're falling, you can tap on the stick to go into a dive bomb that picks up a lot of speed. But in addition to the swinging, then there is a automatic kind of zip pull, which is also the jump button. So you can go from a swing, jump out of it, and then press the jump again, and Spider-Man will basically just shoot a web to the nearest convenient building. And there's so many different animations for this. If you're in a narrow alley, he'll shoot 2 to either side of him. But if you've only got one building, he'll shoot it. And again, it has there has to be something there. He can't just do it to nothing. But those will just pull you forward, and that's kind of a speed boost. And you get an unlockable ability to be able to do that twice without losing altitude, which is super duper useful. I highly suggest early on putting a lot of your skill points into the traversal upgrades, which, by the way, there's a lot of upgrades, but they don't feel, it doesn't feel like Just Cause 3 where there's stuff that feels like
your jump.
Yeah. I mean, like, you are upgrading that kind of stuff, but like Spider-Man is very, feels very good to control and is very competent, like right off the bat. And there's very little upgrades that feel like they should have just been there from the get-go. So the upgrade system actually works pretty well because you feel like you're not being overwhelmed by having so many moves because you're slowly unlocking them.
So a casual person wouldn't have to spend too much time on the upgrade system. You'd think they could beat the whole game without upgrading anything.
Yeah, but I mean, you get the upgrades pretty easily on your own. So I mean, it's like, yeah, if you want to focus more on the stealth tree or the combat tree, nothing's you're never gonna feel like you're underpowered for something except for like right off the bat. And then so the other like kind of triad of the traversal then is those icons that you were talking about, so basically those are kind of just automatically highlight things that are within range that you can do. I can't remember what any of these things are called, but like there's a zip pull kind of thing. Which is you hold down, and it's a little confusing at first because you have to hold down both triggers for that. But basically, if you hold down left and right trigger while you're aiming at one of those points, Spider-Man will automatically shoot 2 webs to it and then just pull himself to it. And if you don't do anything else, he just perches there. So it's the easiest way to stop. So like one of the easiest ways to kind of get around is that you go flying and then like you see the rooftop that you want to, land on. And then you just get to a point and pull yourself there.
So it's like a grappling hook, basically, thing, right?
Yeah. So that's the more like controllable grappling hook thing. Yeah. But then like later on, you get the ability to like get a huge boost by immediately jumping after you land on that. So if you pull yourself to something, and then the second you make contact with it, you press the jump, and Spider-Man will just take off and actually get a boost of speed. So what's really fun is that you can actually like get around really well after you've had some upgrades without even using the swing. So like each kind of point of that triad will get you around pretty decently. And so the skill is kind of in knowing like when to switch it up and like what the best thing to do is to either get to a specific place or to just get a lot of speed. It's a complicated but not overwhelming system, and like it feels like there's a lot of skill involved, but it has a really high skill floor. Like it's hard to screw it up too much, but you feel like you still can get better at it.
A lot of assists going on in the background.
Yeah, like there's like when you start to swing, like I've noticed a couple times, like you start to move before like it breaks the laws of physics a lot. Like you get momentum even though you shouldn't have been able to be swinging yet. The swing kick is like the one exception to the physics. So the webs have to connect to something, which is a combat move where you swing like a pendulum into an enemy. And I have noticed that you are able to do that even if you're on the top of a very tall building. It doesn't come up a lot, but so there is one minor exception in combat rather than traversal.
Yeah, I've heard that everyone loves the traversal. I've heard one critique of it is that maybe if they just went one more step in depth with it, that would maybe take it a long way. But I don't know, maybe you haven't played enough to kind of get that impression. But
I think they've got a good balance.
There's no tricks or something like the Giant Bomb. We're talking about like the tricks. There's only a couple tricks you can do. I don't know if that makes sense.
You can do tricks, but they're there's not a huge point to them. It's basically like once you swing up in the air and let go, you can hold down triangle and circle and then move the stick around to do like rolls and like in different directions. But all that really does is just like get you little bonus experience points.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you can get like, 2 points for doing a roll, or like 12 points for doing a roll and then transitioning into a twirl, and it's fun. It's something to kind of fart around with, but it's not a major thing. And I think some people are maybe not still prefer the old Spider-Man 2 version where you actually had to like. Which was very skill based. I guess I've never actually played it.
Those are the same, the guys that did Tony Hawk too, right? So
yeah, the Neversoft. Yeah, they did that.
I never played that one either, by the way. But yeah,
everyone liked the true. Well, it was the first one to have like true like physics based stuff, and there's a lot of physics stuff in this, but it's very like the edges are sanded off.
yeah. I could see them doing like a DLC that's just strictly about transversal stuff, like making like competition or whatever, like really perfecting and making more deep or something like that. Just, I mean, obviously I haven't played this game, but I can feel like maybe they just took it one next level, or just really just. I mean, I don't know. But just my impression.
Well, they do have like there's plenty of traversal based missions.
Yeah.
Like there's the car chases and stuff. The car chases are weird though, in that so you're chasing like a sedan that's full of like bank robbers, and the two guys in back are like taking pot shots at you with pistols, and they are the most accurate enemies in the game. Like I don't understand how the guys shooting at me out the back window of a car are so much more accurate than like the guy with an assault rifle who's like 6 feet away from me, like in the normal ground combat.
All right, so that brings up a good question. We've all seen that trailer with that crazy real-time events mode and all that stuff. But that sounds like that's just kind of a regular random mission or a story mission.
Yeah, that's like the one of the biggest story missions that I've done so far.
And then how much like real-time events? I mean, how much of that stuff is like in there?
A moderate amount. The only time I screwed up that one specifically because there was I screwed up at the end where you're supposed to be hammering the triggers to shoot a bunch of webs to catch the helicopter as it falls, but I was pressing R1 and L1 when I should have been pressing R2 and L2, and it's telling you on the screen, but I'm like, normally it's these buttons to shoot webs out, and they changed it up just that one time for a thing. It confused me, but it load times are pretty fast, and it checkpoints throughout the QuickTime events, so they're not particularly obnoxious, and you don't have to redo long chunks of things, and they're pretty easy too. The only one I actually have trouble with is stopping at the end of car chases where you take out the driver and then you have to stop the car. The first couple of times I did those, I wasn't quite ready for it and I didn't hammer the button fast enough. But all that does is you take some damage and you don't get a bonus for that, crime mission.
Yeah. So how much of how many hours do you think you've played?
Plenty already. I don't know what about hours, but I'm already oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Cause I'm already 60% completion.
Oh, okay.
On it, cause it's people are complaining about this is one of those games where there's side missions and there's the thing is but you really don't notice because you're farting around so much. And a lot of the story missions are glorified cutscenes. There'll be a proper mission and then you'll go back to open world and then there'll be another mission. And that mission will, be going to the lab and doing some puzzles and some conversations and stuff. And the story's pretty good. But yeah, you won't you'll do a whole mission just as Peter Parker doing some stuff. And then you just kind of pop out of it. So the game gives you a lot of chances to go back into free roam. And, I've never really felt constrained in that way. I've never actually felt so much oh, I want to do X, but there's so many things kind of in the way. Cause you can get around so easily. There's plenty of stuff you don't feel you never feel you have to do this icon because you're here now. And then also the game locks like collectible things behind story missions in that. So I actually like almost cleared out the map at first, because like at first there's like backpacks and landmarks, and then you're unlocking the towers, and then you'll do all the towers pretty early in the game, unless you're like blasting through the story missions, because there's a lot of extra like collectible stuff that's not there right away. Like, so the map never really fills up like it does in like Horizon Zero Dawn or Assassin's Creed, because, you know, there's an entire like set of challenge missions that you don't get until like halfway through the game and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it doesn't overwhelm you with all these icons all at once then, huh? Sounds like
Yeah. So it's I feel like they've done a really good job of kind of balancing out, like, you feel like you do a story mission and you do a couple of side missions or some like free roam stuff, and you enjoy yourself. And I guess one other complaint I've heard is that it's very boss heavy at the beginning and the end, but kind of lulls in the middle. And I kind of feel like that is a reviewer problem of the people who, because if you do, there's several, and I won't get into specifically who they are for spoilers, but there's been plenty of like side supervillains and boss fights even that are just in side missions. So I've fought several bosses in between. Like I have yet to get to like a proper story mission boss after Shocker, which is pretty early on. But, you know, I have not felt like there's been a lack of bosses, because I've been mixing it up between story and side missions.
Yeah, you're not doing the critical path to get the review done.
Yeah, because I think if you just blaze through the story missions, you would probably feel like, yeah, it's like you're fighting mooks for half the game, and then all of a sudden now it's boss gauntlet.
Yeah, is there any average person that's playing a game is like, oh man, I wish there was more bosses like in the middle right here. Like, well, I haven't played a boss for 3 hours, so what's going on? Yeah,
well, I mean, I guess in a superhero game, it's like you're missing out on characters.
Oh, I guess.
Like, you're missing, you know, like, you feel like you should be fighting, you know, Mysterio or something, instead of like yet another group of carjackers. But,
Frank, I heard that this makes you play a good police officer as well, and it makes people feel a little uncomfortable.
That's
Is that finding stuff?
It is a very pro cop game. Let's just say it.
Is this finding stuff to complain about that not to complain about? A almost perfect game to complain something about a perfect game? I don't know.
A little bit, you know, but it's not an entirely, you know, frivolous complaint. Like, it is, especially I think it mainly focuses around the towers that you're unlocking that are like Oscorp police spy towers, that you're, you know, helping the police like fix so that they can essentially just spy on criminals. But I mean, a lot of that is just kind of in service to, like, you know, because in the comics, it varies quite a bit, you know, how much the cops like Spider-Man. But the combat gets kind of awkward when you are fighting people that you're trying not to hurt, which comes up because Mr. Negative has one of his powers is the ability to temporarily turn people evil. So there's a couple of missions of like being attacked by rampaging civilians, and like the game actually has to like alter the combat and all the moves and stuff so that they're easier to take down than normal thugs, but you're somewhat limited in like the attacks you can do.
You can't throw out like a car at the civilian.
You can't pick up and throw a car at all, which ended up with one weird moment where I was fighting just a regular old bad guy with an assault rifle, and he was the last guy of the group, and he was stuck inside of a burned out car, like he had clipped through the model. And so I'm like, Spider-Man should be able to kick this car around or something, but it was like I literally had to like lure him to the edge of the car and punch him a couple times and then wait for him to get back up. and
Can
punch him
he
some more.
can he use the laws of leverage in his web to like lift up cars? I thought he could do that, so I guess not.
Yeah, he's not. This is not the strongest Spider-Man, that we've seen. Like,
Yeah.
but most comic book characters like really vary in like how they're depicted, how strong they are. And it's a video game, so it's not entirely consistent with itself. It's one of those things like, how does a big guy punching me do so much more damage than a guy shooting me with a handgun?
Mhm.
Like, that guy shot me from 6 feet away with a 45, and it did a little tiny sliver of my health. And this guy, whose only superpower is that he is larger than
Yeah.
normal, can like punch me and take off like a fifth or a quarter of my health bar. So, or like, yeah, I've actually heard people complaining about why does it take so long for Spider-Man to beat up normal humans? And it's like, well, it's a video game, and your damage increases as you're leveling up. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Though it is really fun using the gadgets. Like, I haven't even gotten into that at all. Like combat, you've got all your gadgets, and the UI isn't great. Like, I got through a huge portion of this game, like 25% probably, before I knew how to upgrade gadgets, because it kept saying locked. It was like everything was grayed out, and it turned out it was just the first option was not grayed out. I thought I already had, like, I thought it just started, with like, okay, that's the starting one, and then you unlock the next one. And it turned out I just didn't have that first upgrade, and that's why everything was grayed out, because I'd never bought the first one, because I didn't know the difference between what it looked like purchased or not purchased. But yeah, so like once you upgrade a lot of your powers, you can actually take out guys pretty quickly by webbing them to walls. Like, that's a really fun system of just like, you might have punched a guy like once and done minimal damage, but you can instantly take him out of the fight if he's knocked down, by just like webbing him up to the ground. And it's like, well, he's done. Or like if you've got an enemy and you've shot a bunch of webs at him and he's bound up, you can shoot webs at him and then spin him around and throw him at enemies. Or if there's no other enemies around, you can just throw him at the wall and it instantly sticks them there. Just working in the web stuff for the combat. And for a while, it made the game seem a little too easy, especially when I was using the suit power, where you jump up in the air and just shoot a bunch of webs out in all directions. Because I literally took out an entire, there was a rooftop crime in progress, and I literally just ran up the building, jumped over the edge into the midst of the guys, activated the suit power, and then jumped up in the air and shot like a million webs in all directions. And just because there was so much geometry for the guys to get stuck on, it literally took the entire, squad of enemies out instant, like literally one button press, just one. It was a win button. And I was
little OP.
Yeah, but it varies depending, like that specifically because the guys were bunched up and they were all close to objects that they could be stuck to.
Yeah.
Because if you did that in a big open room, you probably wouldn't hit everybody. And the guys that you do, because if you shoot a guy with a web and he's not like next to a wall, he just gets bound up and then can like break free in a couple seconds. To take him out, you actually have to like web him against a surface. Which the impact webbing is really great for, which is like kind of a shotgun blast thing that knocks people back and can take guys out pretty fast. But when you get to the challenge missions that involve taking out a bunch of guys really fast, like that becomes just absolutely crucial to being able to like web guys down or shoot a web bomb to web up a bunch of guys and try to take them out as quickly as possible. Yeah, I could go on and on and on and on. I'll probably shut up now.
Well, we got a bunch of weeks coming up. All right, so do you want to give it a grade? Do you feel confident to give it a grade or a number score?
Not as of yet. I mean, I guess there's still a chance that like the third act could totally sag when it gets to all the boss fights. there's the Sinister Six fighting them in the raft. Like, we know that's going to happen because that was like one of the trailers. And I'm presuming that that's pretty close to the end of the game. Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe that'll be QuickTime Event-a-Palooza, because a lot of the story bosses are very kind of like, have to be taken down in a specific way. So I actually prefer the side mission bosses so far because they're more like really tough enemies than cinematic events. Not that I'm complaining. It's just.
All right, cool, awesome. Well, sounds pretty good. I mean, everyone's raving about this game. Do you think this is your game of the year so far? Oh, didn't we talk about this like last week?
Probably. I don't know. It's I've heard people talking about game of the console generation.
Yeah.
With this, it's just very, very seamless and polished, and people have been talking about like the fact that they do alternate vocal takes for Spider-Man based on is he exerting himself or not. Like, so when you're talking to somebody on the radio, they literally will do a take of him standing still and then a take of him as though he's doing something. So if you're swinging through the air, like, it will be a different voiceover take than if you were just standing still, and like it can switch between them. So if you land, the conversation will continue on. Now he's calm. He's caught his breath.
Yeah. Well, all right, listen, it's impressive, but all right, listen, they do a lot of takes, okay? They're like, we have everyone tired as well. How about we do that too?
Yeah. So. Well, but you mean you got to make the system to like flag what he's doing and stuff. Yeah, it's not. It's again not revolutionary. Just that's the amount of effort they put into this.
This would be really interesting, like a documentary to see this game, because they had to have had this web slinging down before they, committed to this, right? They must have had some sort of system ready to go. Be like, all right,
this is a prototype. At least.
Exactly. I would love to see like how long it took and what was going on and blah blah blah. It'd be a really fascinating documentary.
Good. This would be a good no clip.
Yeah, exactly. Danny, are you listening? Mm-hmm. All right, no clip's 2 years. By the way, it sounds like just like yesterday they were making films. So congrats to them. Okay, all right. So that's it. We'll end up the show right there. Again, if you want to watch the show live on Twitch, go to twitch.com/Stats1, and we usually record on Thursdays at 10 p.m. Eastern time, 7 p.m. Pacific time. There you go, Frank. We're giving our own time zone. Think about that. It's pretty nuts. And so if you want to watch the show, watch it. Rate the show, review it, do all that stuff. Comment. You can ask questions, blah, blah. That'd be fun. So go ahead and join us. All right. So for Frank White, my name is Chris Stotts. This has been Chris Frank Games. See you guys next week.
Go see Mandy this weekend, everybody. It's a good movie, probably. I'm going to go see it tomorrow. That's why we're early. Bye-bye, everybody.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye. See you, Mandy. All right, bye-bye. All right, let me